All right, welcome to another episode of Live with KB Podcast. I'm your host, Kendall Butler. Today, I got three individuals that are involved in the housing and real estate market. We're going to get their life story and what they're involved in the city and possibly give some tips to guys and people who are trying to be first-time homeowners or investing in real estate or property. Once again, welcome to another episode of Live with KB. All right, how you guys doing today?
Doing good.
All right,
Wonderful.
so we're going to go around the table so you guys can introduce yourselves to the people. I'm going to start with you, Mal.
Okay, so I'm Mon-Cheri Robinson. Hello. I am a real estate investor as well as a local licensed real estate agent for the state of Tennessee.
All right.
I'm Marvin Butler. I'm a real estate investor.
Quincy Robinson. I go by the Barbary Lender. I'm a mortgage consultant.
Gotcha. And we're going to get a little bit more background. So with you guys being from Nashville, I'm sure a lot of people would like to know what schools you attended. So what school did you attend?
All right, so here's my transcript. So K through 6th grade, I went to Ross Elementary School. All right. 7th through 12th grade, I went to East Literature Magnet. All right,
Okay.
ELM. Okay, to be specific. And then I had a semester at Stratford High School in 11th grade. That's a little asterisk footmark on my transcript.
There you go.
Texas.
And so those are my K through 12 schools.
All right. What about for you, sir?
Well, I guess we do K through 12.
You can do high school if you want to.
I'm
You don't
okay
want to
with
go.
that
My bad.
I graduated from Martin Luther King Magnet School.
All
I
right.
went there 7 through 12.
Gotcha. All right. What about for you,
Same.
sir?
Martin Luther
Same?
King Magnet School,
All
class of 09.
Class of 09.
Mhm.
All right. Now that we're sitting, we're all grown. You know, I'm sure we all had some type of role models, if not a role model growing up. Would you like to expand on who might have been that person that you looked up to for advice as you were growing up?
So I wouldn't say advice. I would say more what I saw, right?
Okay.
That's how I learned, and that's who inspired me. So let me just tell you, my mom has always been a hustler. Since she came here from Chicago, she always figured out what was the cheapest way to find stuff, right?
Okay.
So I was introduced to wholesaling, buying things wholesale as a little girl, right? We was in Sam's when Sam's was expensive and exclusive, okay?
Mhm.
Anyway, long story short, I remember my oldest memory of entrepreneurship was my mom at our track meet. I remember it was at Pearl Cone. It was Pals was the league. And that's it, Rimble Rudolph.
Okay.
And they didn't have a concession stand. So my mom was like, oh, okay, bitch. She went and got a box of Cheetos this high and was selling them like $2 for $1 or something like that, or 75 cents each. She was just, so next thing you see is a line of kids from a box, and my mama sitting with a chair in a box selling chips
Right.
at our track meet. So that was my first introduction of entrepreneurship. She went from there to, I seen her and my daddy hustle, open their first restaurant. If you know the Fat Mo's on Gallatin Road, my mama owned that before them. Right, that was her first spot. Had another spot on Jefferson. Then she had a food truck before food trucks was popping.
Right. Before everybody
So my mom and my dad, right?
Right.
But that was my first introduction to entrepreneurship.
That's what's up. All right.
Well, we're siblings, so we had the same role model. So for the same reason, definitely, like she said, we concession stand. We sold fireworks.
Y'all would
have plugged in the neighborhood.
Yeah, you
drive to
Alabama.
Alabama.
We definitely tried to find them all.
That's what's up, man.
So definitely. And then that was more like my mother's lane. And then my father, I picked up, which kind of ties into the real estate thing, which is he'll just research something and just try. Like he'll try to fix stuff, whatever. And that's kind of what I do with the real estate. Like I'd be willing to try. I might test some stuff up, but I'm gonna get in there.
Yeah, getting some experience. What about you, Quincy?
So for me, I think, when you're younger, of course, my dad was like Superman.
Right.
So he definitely had that image in my mind for a long time. But then as I got older, we started going to the Boys and Girls Club a lot. And so that put us in an environment where we was around a lot of positive role models, one being Walter Thomas. So I would say he was definitely a local guy in the community. He's been, bootstrapping it for a long time, just helping kids. It's like one of those unsung heroes or people you don't always hear about on the front lines. So that was an individual I feel like that was somebody that I looked up to and was definitely a guide and a mentor for me.
Yeah. All right, now that we are all, grown ups and we're in the city of Nashville where it's growing, right? Especially like I got here in 2008. So I can tell people stories of how when I got here in 08, how it looked versus now. And I just saw some of the changes. So you guys being from here, what sparked your interest in working in real estate or getting into the housing market?
For me, man, it was just, again, the trying your hands at different stuff.
Okay.
So, and the real estate, honestly, man, I just sometimes you just up your mind roaming, you get to scrolling, came across basically someone talking about real estate investment, and then I went down the rabbit hole.
That's right.
And I literally called my sister, was like, hey, this was maybe October what, 2019? So October 2019, I was like, look.
Right before COVID.
I was like, look, man, I've been listening to these like podcasts and YouTube and blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. I was like, what we're going to do is come first of the year, 2020, like we jumping off the porch. Like we're going to research now. We come off the porch, and that's just how it went, just trying to, man, I'm really just trying to build a legacy. We both got kids. We're just trying to make it where our kids don't have to work for nobody else to be financially, make them some trust funds, babies, and they get to do what they enjoy versus trying to survive.
Right. I got you on that. So I assume you guys have good and bad experiences being in the housing market or working with people in real estate. Would you guys expand on, your good and bad experiences so far?
Oh, wow. So, okay, this will discuss how I got into real estate, and then it'll talk about good and bad.
Good and bad.
So, by virtue of being told no, you don't qualify, tell me why.
Right.
And so by them telling me why, I went corrected the no, right? And so I had to learn real estate in order to even try to buy something, right? So when they told me no, I had to figure that out. So long story short, I initially jumped into this to buy a home, but in researching it, it's like this could be a home, an investment,
very lucrative,
a business. It can be an asset. It can be a bank, right? This is all the layers I'm peeling back just by virtue of me learning the game to buy a home. And so that was the good part, right? You learning all these other things. And then the first purchase, we could talk numbers, right? Because the ink is dry, right? So this is the good part. First transaction or first house bought for $220, right? About a year ago, it appraised for $490. Okay.
Right, that's a big jump.
All right.
Right.
You can do the math real quick. So that was my good.
Okay. That was a good experience.
Right. And was able to use that as a business, a short-term rental, right? All in one transaction. That was good.
Right.
Now the bad in that same transaction went over budget. It was my first time doing it, right?
All right, first experience with it.
First time doing it. Went over budget, went over timeline, right? And I didn't go in it with an exit strategy, a true 5-10 year plan, right? I went into it with what was on the table. So that was the downside. And then the other downside was dealing with contractors, right? Dealing with people management. Where you hit the
yeah, he's shaking his head. He like, man.
I'm gonna just hand the baton off to that. People management, contractors, contracts, Marvin.
So the good and the bad. All right. So the good obviously is very lucrative. It can be.
Right.
But high risk, high reward. So it can also be very, very bad. So basically just contractors, especially in Nashville right now, just the housing market in general. But I would say I can speak specifically for Nashville. Is everybody wants top dollar, even if it is not working, and everybody likes to count your money for you. So they'd be like, oh well, this house would be worth X, Y, Z, and so they kind of cut into your profits and stuff like that, and then and just contractors in general, man, they can make or break your project.
A lot to deal with.
Yeah, like a very specific example is right now we had a investment property. We started a rehab on it this time last year.
All right.
The quote was what, 50,000?
Yes.
3 to 4 weeks.
Yes. This time last year.
Emphasis on 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, 3 to 4 weeks.
Right.
We are 90,000 in and about 13 months in. Yeah.
Now, would you say you guys had to learn this as you made these decisions? Like, for your example, buying a house and then peeling back the layers and getting involved with it more and dealing with contractors. So is this something you guys learned as you were finding out about?
Yeah, trial and error. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Would you say it made you better or made you more aware? Are you happy those situations happen to you so you can kind of sit back and reflect on it now and know where you're going forward?
I would say it make you better. Like, if you learn from something, then it's not a loss, it's a lesson, right? So if you get something from it. So sometimes setbacks are lessons. So again, touching back on that 3-week project that's supposed to be 50,000, it's not 90 in 13 months. I definitely learned I know how to do a lot more things than I thought I Yeah, so I definitely basically I can do everything we put on the roof on the house now. But
I call it tuition, right? It's the cost to learn. This is the true cost to learn. And, you can go through YouTube University or you can pay these excessive fees for mentorship, right? Anywhere you go, you're going to pay costs for information. And so we chose to pay costs for information by virtue of jumping off the porch. So to each his own.
Gotcha. Now, I know you said you learned all this once you started trying to buy your own house. So what all are you involved in? Somebody wants a rundown of what you actually do now. What all are you involved in now?
So outside of investing in real estate, okay, let me back up.
Yeah.
So, story time.
Yeah.
So, in us doing our first project together, we quickly learned that the realtor fee was a very expensive line item. Okay. And we are paying when we get the distressed property, we're paying a realtor, and we're also paying when we sell it, right? When we put it back on the market. So we're essentially paying on a flip of a realtor twice. And I'm just like, whoa.
It's a lot of money going out the door.
No. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get my real estate license, and that's a line item that we're going to keep in house. When we're trying to sell it, that's also something we can negotiate in the price, right? We got a whole lot more flexibility when we're on a contract, right? And so that's how I became a real estate agent. So present day, I am a real estate agent, licensed in Tennessee. Would love to help people out. Because the way I got into real estate, I cannot help the way my mind always approaches a deal. So if you ever do business with me, I'm always approach it as an investment. Because whether you're living in it or it truly is an investment, it's an investment.
Right. Either way it goes.
Yes. Right. And as a realtor, me personally, that's how I'm going to approach the deal.
Okay. And you say you do contracting. That's pretty much your stable.
Well, yeah, we'll go with that. I do like the hands-on. So
and the numbers.
Yeah, and the numbers. Yeah.
And I just wanted to get that out the way before we got too deep. People are like, okay, which area?
So it's more. I guess the best way to explain it, she like front of the house, on back of the house. So I prefer to deal with as few people as possible.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Don't want to talk to everybody.
Yeah. Look, that's best for everybody.
My patience is thin. Like I don't, especially with my money involved and then the nonsense. Like I said, it's especially in this Nashville market. Everybody would come to this housing is it's the Wild West, man.
Right. And you know how much you can deal with, so it's like, okay, I know my expertise can be in here. This is not going to overstress me out. This to kind of keep me level-headed, and I can do my job.
That's why I incorporated her into it. I was like, you can be
the person out there.
She has the person because I don't. And when I'm done, I'm done.
Right.
Not the best. I'm working on it.
Regardless of what is on the table when he's done, he's done. So it's this. Let me be HR, guys. Yes.
And Quincy, would you like to expand on kind of what you're on?
Yeah, so one of the ways I got into being a loan officer is when I bought a house. So I am from Nashville, but then my wife and I, we moved away. So I lived in Baltimore. That's Kentucky is where I went to school, Berea, Kentucky. Shout out to Berea, Kentucky. And then after graduating college, went on to Baltimore. So that's in that area, that Baltimore, Delaware area is where I bought my first house. And I went to school to be a teacher, and it was working out for a little while. But once we bought our house, I was talking numbers with my loan officer. I was like, man, how much you get paid off of this? and he shared it with me. And look, he wasn't working that hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Just like a guy.
He was now I'm a loan officer now, so we do put in a lot of front end work.
For sure.
And a lot of our job is marketing. So we trying to, originate loans, get business, connecting with realtors such as Mon-Cheri, right? But all that said, just in him and I interactions, I was like, hey, how much you get paid on that? And he was like, this, that, and the other. I said, oh, that sounds good to me, And so I said, his name was Bill. I said, he became he want to say my older brother, but Bill was like 60. I was like, Bill, you like Mom. So he kind of walked me through how to get into the business. And as I got into the business, started working with people, a lot of times people are not ready to buy a house in the actual being ready, but their desire is there. And so I always try to encourage people to start. If you want to buy a house in the next 6 months or a year, you need to go ahead and talk to a loan officer now and start understanding what you need before you get ready to hop into the job market. One of the primary cases I kept running into, all right, hey, Quincy, my lease is over at the end of the month. I'm going to buy a house. Well, like it's going to happen. Now, in some markets, cool.
Some cities.
Some markets, some cities, that's cool. But 9 times out of 10, you're not in a financial position to even for a lender to give you a loan. So you need to start working on that, preparing for that ahead of time. So I really on the education part of trying to teach people about home ownership, particularly first-time home buyers, and really encouraging them to start the process early. And I tell people it's not a no, it's a win.
That's it. Change the no to a yes.
To a yes.
Mm-hmm.
It might take time. But
that's it.
Yeah. Do you guys do exclusive work in Nashville? Or do you kind of do some outside counties or cities? What guys have expanded to?
Yes and no. So we've been as far out as Lebanon, but we're new to it. So we're kind of. But I personally would like to expand outside of Nashville
for sure.
So I think that's going to be the goal in the near future. But it's easy to learn closer to home, especially when you got a full-time job. Because when we started, she wasn't even living in Nashville. She was in Virginia working full-time. I work full-time here, so it's just easier. But when we focus on real estate full-time, I would ideally like to, go where the money is.
Yeah. Now, since everybody here is from Nashville, and you guys grown up here, you guys have seen development, housing, stuff pop up out the ground. Saw dirt one week. You close your eyes the next month, it's a whole duplex or whatnot, especially nowadays, right? So, in your own opinion, how has the housing market in Nashville changed since you first got into business in 2019?
Oh, since 2019? Gosh, that's a short window, but I mean, I'm going to put the elephant in the room, interest rates, obviously. We got in the game when interest rates were sweet, and they're not sweet anymore, right? So that's the most drastic change. I think you have actually seen since 2019. It's actually cheaper to buy a little bit, but because obviously interest rates are right. So it's cheaper to buy. It's not as competitive since 2019 COVID times, right? Inventory is staying on the market longer. It went from a seller's market to where, seller's market to where buyers were not asking for any contingency. It was just, they was paying overpriced, right? Now the sellers are paying for everything. We're paying closing costs. We are like, hey, we will wash your car for a whole year if you buy this $1 million house, right? So it shifted in terms of that is the biggest, most drastic thing in my opinion.
And even an example you gave about your first house, how quickly the price had dumped.
What year was that again?
Double.
This was 2021.
You bought the first house?
2021.
Okay. So that's like 2 years. Your property appraised almost double.
Yeah, 2021.
You know what I mean? So
literally.
Yeah. Now you guys did, remodel the house.
Yeah.
But I think that is an indication of national market, and really in general, a lot of metropolitan areas where the houses are increasing in value, but the rates are also increasing in value, which is decreasing affordability for the average person. So a lot of people who want to get into the market now, you might need to get somebody along with you. You know what I mean? So where you can have put together both of your earning power to go ahead and purchase a property. whether that be investment, whether that be a primary residence, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Do you guys think gentrification played a part in how things have changed, may have not changed?
Sure.
Well, you said 2019.
Yeah,
Big G been
to
here
touch back on
since
2019.
before 2019.
I bought my primary residence April of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, because I like to kind of be specific, because it's just generalization. So at 2019, when I bought my house, people were buying houses cash. That was the majority of it. So I don't know how familiar people are with the home buying process, but most buyers was cash. They was paying well over asking because it was so competitive. Because traditionally, if I come to you to buy your house and I say I got a cash offer, that's very enticing to the buyer. It's less hoops to jump through. Normally, you can close faster, a lot more flexibility. It's just a smooth.
And everybody, if they have the house on the market, they may be, have a new job to start. They may need to get out the city.
Right.
They on the time schedule
Right.
most of the time.
So again, a house might be listed for $200,000. Okay, so I'll use my house. My house was listed for $200,000. To be competitive to buy it, we had to offer $220,000.
Just to be competitive.
To be competitive.
Right, to be considered.
Because we wasn't paying cash.
Right.
So just to be like, okay, well, I give you.
We can keep talking.
20% over, 10% over you're asking. But, but literally it was cash, no contingencies, as in we don't care about what it appraised at. We don't care about the inspection. We don't care. We don't take it. However you give it, if you're willing to sell it, because it was so many people looking for houses and not enough houses for the people.
Yeah.
And it went from that to, in literal example, went into a house, liked it, right? I was like, okay, I like this house, blah, blah, blah. By the time we made it out, it was under contract. Houses were selling in hours.
This is what year?
2019.
2019.
Hours. And this wasn't no big house. This was maybe 1,000 square feet. So it was all of a 20-minute tour, and we looked at everything you could look at in 20 minutes, and it was listed and active. And then 20 minutes later, it was under contract. Houses would hit the market at 4:00 in the afternoon and be under contract by 4:30.
And in hindsight, those houses were sold before they hit the market.
So let me ask you this: with you guys being and not just focusing on, I don't want to just focus on 2019, like you said, that wasn't that far ago. But with you guys being from Nashville and either knowing people that were owning houses back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, what do you think? What year do you think it changed to where people started gradually moving towards Nashville? The housing market was just flying off the shelves. If you had to make a guess.
I would say when I noticed,
I got a time.
probably around maybe 2015, 2016.
I was going to put that.
It's when I noticed.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I got one earlier. Go ahead, you can finish.
Because what we didn't know was, right, it's all about, it's what you know, right? These people were buying houses and getting paid to buy them. Exactly. See the face you made?
Who is these
We
people?
didn't know this, right? That's how East Nashville got gentrified, right? So after 2008, the government was like, the banks get money off of interest, right? So there's no money for them owning the property because they have to pay property taxes. So the money is selling it to you, getting paid off the interest. And so that was messing up the government. We had this conversation yesterday. A lot of governments invest in real estate backed loans,
Mortgage-backed securities.
So, was it Obama? I think Obama.
He came in 2008.
Well, I think it was around the time he was in office. They had passed the I can't remember the exact name of it, but they would pay you. They would give you down payment assistance up to $16,000 or something. It was some crazy amount of money, and you can use it towards anything: closing costs, down payment, blah blah blah. But the beautiful thing about it is, if you don't use the whole 16, you get a check at the end. So if you buy a house and your all in, your closing costs, your down payment, blah blah blah, was $5,000, but you got a $16,000 check.
$11,000.
Yeah. So my little brother got paid to buy his house. So certain zip codes, and those zip codes were the neighborhoods that was less desirable. So we just say Black and brown communities. And so that's why, if you notice, all the Black and brown communities in Nashville is getting bought out, because literally every zip code that's popular now that we can't afford now is what they was getting checks for to buy, to develop, basically, because it was taking it off the book.
Build it up.
Because remember, they had to bail the banks out. because of the mortgage, all the default mortgages. So we give them, they figured out like give you a little bit of money, get you off our books. So basically, the banks got out the government pockets, and then we started paying the banks.
That's a cold game.
Yeah.
So it's deeper than what people really.
Oh man, it's even go deeper than that.
Yeah.
From what I've been
I
learning,
never heard it.
Yeah, that's
put
like
it like
the
that.
surface level, man. But yeah, you can get paid. You can get paid to buy a house. Literally.
Yeah, I got $500 at the closing table.
Yeah. I never knew that.
but like living away, because I've lived away from Nashville for like 10 years. But of course, I would come back and visit, and I would definitely say around that 2014, 2015. I'm like, dang, the city started to look different and feel different. So
Slowly
it's
but
like
surely.
slowly but surely. And then actually coming back to live here about almost 2 years ago now, it's like, dang, there's still remnants of that nostalgic feeling of where I grew up, but you can definitely tell that this is definitely a different city. And on top of that, just in my experience, people outside of Nashville, like Nashville is the place to be.
Yeah.
Like if you even research like cities to move or fastest growing cities, Nashville is on top of the list.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I feel like this has definitely contributed to some of the market prices that we have. Like a lot of people, I was talking to my mom not too long ago, and some people I work with, some of the older people where they've lived in Nashville, born in Nashville 50, 60 years, it's almost they're being bought out because they don't have the means to actually afford a home in their neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Or maintain them.
Yeah.
So with that being said, with gentrification and house being paid to buy a house in certain zip codes and people getting bought out, would you say that overall that was a positive or negative impact on the city?
Depends on
So it depends
how you look at it, who you asking.
So for you guys' profession, what are you guys doing now? Take the personal feeling away from it.
Okay.
And add in the business.
So business wise, it was great.
Business wise, it was great.
It was great, and wish we would have gotten in earlier. Probably would have cleared bigger margins and been a lot easier. Personally wise, it displaced natives.
Yeah.
Like, if we're being honest about it, most people natives to the Nashville can't afford the city.
No.
That's why Clarksville is booming. It's like Springfield, surrounding areas. All that Gallatin now starting to grow because it's not affordable to live.
And we're not talking about like lazy people. People ain't going to work. We're talking about people who've been here who work. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about the everyday person that is trying to live and
now,
make it.
Some got priced out because lack of knowledge.
Yes.
Because again, it's like a double-edged sword. Like you want your house to be worth as much as possible, but what comes with that is higher property taxes. Your property tax is based on the value of your home. So if you've been paying property tax on $100,000 house, but now since your neighbors look different, that $100,000 house is now $500,000. Now you done
overpriced, so you can't live there.
Your property tax done increased 5 times. Well, knowledge is power because most people who was getting priced out was people on fixed incomes, retirees, social. What they didn't know is you can go down and request to get your property taxes frozen because you on disability or you on fixed income, and you don't have to pay the property tax based on what his house is valued now. You can pay based on what it was valued at.
So it still comes back to information and knowledge.
So a lot of us didn't know and was like, well, I can't afford this. And it's like, it's a lot of dirty tactics too, man. And
then at the same time, you're realizing that somebody's trying to buy you out. So one moment you realize I can't afford it, and then the other moment somebody's offering you money. It's it just makes sense at that moment.
I think reverse mortgages, I seen firsthand reverse mortgages really dominate the senior population. And essentially the long and short of a reverse mortgage, correct me, matter of fact.
Hold on now.
Okay. Well, so this is how I experience it.
Right.
Essentially, with a reverse mortgage, the way I understood it was you are getting lent your equity ahead of time, right? Okay. So let's say your house is worth $100,000. You don't owe nothing on it. A reverse mortgage will give you all that equity up front or a line of credit towards that
portion of your equity.
Oh, right, a portion of the equity, right? And then when you die, you have a list of people who either have to pay that in full or it goes to that mortgage company.
Now, I think I like that you brought that up because I was going to touch on that, not that particular perspective, but the idea of holding on to your land, holding on to your home. Because, we had a personal experience where my father passed, and not being very knowing all the avenues you can take to try to save your home in lives. You know what I'm saying? Times get hard and people are kind of forced to make those decisions on, okay, do I pay this or can't pay the mortgage? And then what was also kind of, I would say, I wouldn't say call it predatory lending, but it can lend to that adjustable rate mortgages. So your mortgage might be straight for 5 years, but a lot of things can happen in 5 years.
And then
when that 5 years is over, then you talking about a $300-$400 increase. I can't afford, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what people are saying. So some going back to what you were saying, Marvin, about just not been educated on how to do it or even knowing how to refinance out of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the mortgage game is not for the people. You know what I mean? However, in America, the dream is home ownership. You know what I mean? So the house game, the real estate game is for the people. So you have to learn how to connect with real estate professionals and mortgage professionals who have your best interests at heart, who can help teach you and educate you on how to not just get your house, how to keep your house.
Exactly.
That's good. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, because I think hindsight makes everybody look like a genius, right? That's what we learned.
Hindsight 2020.
Okay, and so I think what people need to understand, I wish we knew then, and I need them to understand going forward. Do not cash out on a house. Don't cash out granny house. If you get the money for granny house, you need to go buy a house free and clear. You need to make sure you always have a place to lay your head free and clear. You don't have to worry about no adjusted interest rates, right? You don't have to worry about predatory lending. I own this. So I always say now, hindsight, use money to make money. Use one asset to get another.
Yeah.
You don't ever buy or sell it off unless you like Diddy and you want to run and you ain't got no money. That's life or death, right? That's freedom.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. No, but he got the money. But I'm saying, but if I was in that dire situation, right, on the run, I'll sell off an asset, but I have it.
Right.
So I said all that to say, don't sell off Granny's house unless you're going to buy 5 acres and a mule. All right. The second thing is be conscious sellers. Don't just, I don't know why, respectfully, I don't know why people think certain demographics dollars come with bonus dollars. They same 100,000 is my same 100,000. But guess what? I actually do care. Okay. And so I say, when you gonna sell granny house, even be a conscious seller to say, I'm gonna be strategic and sell this to another family to have an asset. Right? You see what I'm saying? So consider those two things, and I wish we would have considered those two things.
Yeah. I mean, no, you're right, because I remember, like, right before I graduated in 2014, that area right behind TSU, we were told, you would hear, oh, man, yeah, all that's getting sold because people are dying and their kids are selling it. But like you said, you're not talking about the predatory lending and people coming to you different ways. They were just making it seem like, yeah, granny died. Somebody came to him, offered him $65,000. He said, sure. But it gets deeper, and I'm sure everybody got their own story on how it happened. But with that being said, what do you guys see the real estate market in Nashville going in the future? We got the stadium coming to 2027. We supposedly might be getting the MLB professional baseball team here in the city.
Yeah, that's
just the stuff I'm being told.
They just voted to allow the Orioles to relocate to sell. Yeah, so
that's up for grabs.
Okay. So So with that being said, in the next, we in 2024.
What's the timeline you talking? Because obviously, what goes up comes down.
I would say honestly, just for me asking, because I always tell people I kind of figure Nashville will get the Super Bowl around like 2030, and I say that because with the stadium being built in 27, that's 3 years of stuff coming, whether it's concerts, anything coming to the stadium. And me being from Atlanta, I was there in 96 when the Olympics came. They tore down all the housing projects, turned into parking lots.
Oh, yeah, to meet the standard.
Yeah, and then we had the Super Bowl. We hosted the Super Bowl 3 years later, and the Titans played the Rams. And I saw how that, in that short period of time, has changed Atlanta to where you see it now. So I would say in the next 5 years, about 2030, 2031.
Well, in the next 5 years, it's gonna keep going up. It's stuff that's planned that's not even done yet. Like, they doing the the Riverwalk.
Yes.
Right now they're starting off on the other side of the
What Top Golf is?
what Top Golf is.
Yeah.
But they're gonna come over to the East Bank.
Be like a bridge.
Yeah, it's gonna be a walking bridge, kind of like how the Gulch was. It's gonna be shopping centers,
Yes.
like multi-use developments. It's a lot of developments that's been approved. See, that's the thing, man. We don't know.
You don't know about it until you start seeing
it's
it
deals
hit the
already
ground.
in the works,
Yeah.
and
Local area plan lays it out.
Yeah, it's new to us, but it's been approved. Permits and surveys and everything been locked in probably for the past 7 to 10 years. Like it's so much stuff coming down the pipeline, and like I said, and next, man, I'll be honest with you, probably the next 15, 20 years is gonna still continue to grow. I think Nashville future is gonna be Atlanta's future, which is gonna be busting at the seams. All these little smaller towns are gonna become big.
Yeah.
You know how like Marietta done
Right.
grew.
Yeah.
Every county outside of Atlanta
you know,
is
Gwinnett,
grown.
blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like, you know, back in the 90s, those places
You
was
wouldn't even go out.
wasn't nobody going out.
We weren't going to Marietta for no reason
you know,
at all.
Stone Mountain, all that
Alpharetta,
stuff. Like,
none of that stuff.
But now it's huge, so it's gonna be similar. Like, so all these little small places, and kind of, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead or not, but you have to kind of be almost like a future teller, right? To kind of get into the real estate game. If you got enough money, then you can get in when you want to. It's always cheaper to get in on the ground level, right?
Location
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, get in the game now.
Yeah.
Because prices, typically speaking, generally speaking, real estate appreciates in value. That's why it's so attractive to investors. So get in now.
Yeah.
One thing I can say is the common, I would say, moniker of real estate investment I've heard across all boards, like new, old, black, white, whatever it is, you don't wait to buy, you buy and then wait.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different way to look at it. Because some people are thinking the exact way you said it the first time.
But you buy it and wait, because again, you can buy it and you might even be buying real estate as an investor, but accidentally end up investing, because honestly, my personal house bought a house. Like, and again, that comes to knowledge. I found out about home equity line of credit.
The HELOC game.
Yeah, like, man,
I got into that last year.
Yeah,
That's
man.
helped me out a lot.
It's just so crazy, man. Just, it's so many avenues, and like going kind of bouncing back and forth, but kind of like, again, knowing the situation is, based on what I said, like, it's gonna keep growing. So you can't avoid Nashville prices, but you probably can't afford, let's say, Dixon prices, Fairview prices, Springfield. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mount Pleasant, and then you get it. You know what I'm saying? It might not be the ideal situation, but by the time you get fed up with your job and just like, I'm tired of a couple gray hairs, you know what I'm saying? Then now that property that wasn't really worth much is,
you got it there first.
Yeah, that's that's literally that's your retirement plan.
Now, if people out there are looking to purchase their first home, first property, what are some tips or advice you would, a couple quick tips, advice you would kind of give them to kind of look out for?
Get with a good lender, or what is it?
Lender, mortgage consultant, loan officer.
He said something I didn't 100% agree with, which was, he was like, don't really work a lot. Some of the lenders don't work a lot, right? But I can attest that he does work a lot, because some lenders just say, you don't qualify, move on. But that's not him. He literally would be like, okay, well, you don't qualify. These are the reasons you don't qualify. So do this, do that. They kind of have like a credit forecaster. So if you get this removed, pay this out, blah, 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 it'll kind of estimate so he'll kind of put you in a position to be credit worthy.
You're correct. And then I would definitely say, like I said earlier, start early. Like, if you want to buy a house, even if you're 21 years old, start now. Absolutely. You might not want to buy a house for 2 years, 3 years, but you start preparing for it, right? So a good lender such as myself, will help give you a roadmap, right, on what you need to do to get it, all right? You need to, so like, say, for instance, people say, oh, well, I'm going to buy a house and I'm just saving the money. How much you saving? Are you saving enough for a down payment, or are you saving enough for down payment and closing costs? You know what I mean? So that's important. A lot of people only focus on a down payment of the house, because that's more like popular information. Yeah, I need 3.5% down or 5% down, versus saving for the closing costs. And then talking about, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and rent while I'm saving. Well, if you're paying $2,500 a month in rent, Does it make sense to keep saving up for a huge 20% down payment? So like I definitely strongly, in my professional and personal opinion, think people need to start preparing early, especially if you're a person who is brand new to this. Like if you're not used to a lot of homeowners in your family, and then a lot of people who purchased their home bought it 5, 6, 7 years ago, and they're not mortgage professionals, so they can't really tell you what you need to do to be ready. So definitely start early. I would say create like a little drive or a little folder on your computer, and just these simple documents: pay stubs, 2 months of bank statements, tax returns, and just have that. Just as a way of just like a stepping out on faith for people who just like, what, I'm going to get ready for this.
Yeah.
Start gathering the documentation that you need
And
early.
a huge thing, which I didn't know until I tried to buy a house, you got to source your income.
So it sounds like what everybody's saying. One thing is if you want to buy property or buy a home, you have to get in that mind state.
Yeah.
Because then you have to prepare. You got to kind of not tell the future a little bit, but you have to prepare for the future. Like you
Correct.
said, you can't just jump out there and I want to buy a home and I expect to buy a home in 2 months.
Right.
Because then you're going to get hit with all different type of situations going to throw you off track. It's going to make you eventually wait.
Right.
You know, so I guess it's a mind state
You
thing.
might end up in the bed with some unsavory characters.
I want to give a perspective
Plenty of those.
from your non-traditional W-2 work, or even if you're a traditional one. He said tax returns. I want to go down that rabbit hole a little bit.
Since we doing tax season anyway.
So this is what I did. Preceding making our first purchase, I claimed every single dollar and dime my husband made and I made, right? I claimed every dime, every side hustle, everything. And I paid taxes on all that money for 2 years straight because I knew I wanted to purchase a home. So that's what it means by being proactive. So, and I'm telling you, I don't like mindset. Oh, God, you have the mindset. I like actual steps. So I'm telling you the steps. Claim every dollar and every cent. Barbers, beauticians, nail techs. I'm talking to you.
Right off everything.
Entrepreneurs. You can't, thank you. He touching what I'm about to say. It sounds good to zero down to zero income. But when you ask a bank or a lender for money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you tell them per your tax records that you made $0, it all went to overhead. Why would they give you money? Okay, it's basic mathematics.
Because it's showing that your company didn't make money.
Exactly.
Now, there are newer products such as a bank statement loan for the self-employed or business owners, and where we'll lend you, we'll look at your income based off your bank statements. But a lot of times with bank statement loans, you need to have some really good credit, like 680, 700 or plus.
Yeah.
So it's always in mortgage lending is always like a scale. We're looking at your credit, your income, and your assets. And depending on what type of loan program, such as a bank statement loan versus a traditional where you have the tax returns, they might want a higher credit score and a higher investment. So 20% down or 10% down. So that's why it's really good to work with a mortgage professional to kind of get you in that and get you ready and get you prepared. Another thing is your credit. Credit. You can buy the same house, same purchase price, whatever. You could end up paying $200 more or $100 more, estimated because your credit is bad. You know what I mean? So it's more costly to have bad credit when you're buying a house, a car, anything like that. So that's something easy that you can work on. There are a lot of people out there who have DIY credit repair, things like that. So just go ahead and focus on your credit and focus on making as much money as possible. I remember talking with this young lady, and I'm gonna call her Kate for right now. She wanted to buy a house, kind of young. Wanted to buy a house. She's like, Quincy, I want to do this. What I need to do? I said, hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. You don't make enough money to buy a house.
That's what I was told the first time.
You don't make enough money.
I need to make $75,000. Thanks. Shout out to student loans, y'all. The shackles, y'all.
Student loans.
I'll take the shackles off my feet.
But like, she was so committed to like this goal of home ownership, where she literally got a new job. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to fix the problem of making more money. All right. So that's why I always say work on your credit, work on making as much money as you can, and work with a lender to get a roadmap.
Pay your taxes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That was a good advice, man. 'Cause like you said, a
Pay
lot
your
of
taxes.
people probably looking at it like write it off or not on nothing.
Too
Like you
much
said,
YouTube
yeah.
University.
certain people looking at it that the negative way. Now going back to what you said as far as buying then waiting, right? Being in a city like Nashville, one thing that stood out to me a couple years ago was like Airbnbs popping up.
Okay.
Right. So I'm about to tie this question in Airbnbs and also fixing and flipping houses, right? So
Let's talk about it.
what advice would you give people who are either A, looking to fix and flip houses or investing in Airbnb properties? And also, after you guys get done with it, also touch on how if they're lucrative or not.
So you
That's a
looking
lot.
at Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois,
About to
short.
break a
And first of all,
partnership.
we're gonna say short term rental.
Okay.
I'm not giving no free promo, especially when you're not
'Cause
doing
those
me
guys
right. You
suck.
feel me? So yeah,
Airbnbs.
hey, short term rentals.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess I guess the most basic advice I would give is definitely you got to put your hands on stuff.
Okay.
Period. You got to put your hands on stuff. And what I mean by that is that don't necessarily mean you have to necessarily turn the wrench, put the doorknob on, blah blah blah. But you can't be on the everybody want to be in that boss status where you just point, the job get done. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying, that's the tip of the iceberg. You don't see all that's on what they had to do to get to that point. And like you got to go make sure the people are showing up when they say they're gonna show up. Make sure like just something as simple as just going to get your own material can save you thousands of dollars. And kind of what I tell all the time is we got more time than money. So when you spend the time to say now when we get to the point where we don't have enough time, then you start paying people to do the stuff. But if you got the time to do it, do it.
Absolutely.
Even if something as simple as just managing your own projects. But yeah, like put your hands on stuff and research, man. Research.
I can dig it.
Research.
Okay.
Then you want to
Y'all ready? So listen, I need to know how far you want me to get into it. Do you want me to just give you an overview, step by step? Like, what do you want to know? Because I can give it to you.
Hey,
all right, so I'm gonna give it to you. First of all, short-term rental. The first thing you need to do wherever you are, whether it's in Nashville, surrounding counties, other states, you need to first research the local regulations of if you are required to have a permit, right? Different states, different counties have different requirements within that permit, but you need to know whether you're required to have a permit. Prime example, Atlanta didn't have it for years. During around the pandemic 2019, 2020, they switched it to now you have to have them. And I think they switched it to even more. You can have no more than 3.
Right, you limited.
So, okay. And he was in Georgia. So he's familiar with that regulation. And so all those people who scooped up a whole floor of apartment complexes and you sign leases, just because the local regulation changed don't mean the lease gonna change. So people their money got caught up like that. So first thing first, learn the local regulation. Then if you know that it has a permit and it has limits, that is a red flag. It's not a scalable market. You need to realize that. So you need to make sure if your next move is your best move in the game and that this one Airbnb or these 3, whatever the limit is, really gives you the return on the investment you're looking for. And not you just doing it for the gram that I got an Airbnb. Is it first taking care of itself and then is it actually making money? Okay. All right. So that's the first thing. The second thing is it can, in the grand scheme of things, when you look at short-term rental, okay, VRBO, shout out to VRBO, y'all, they're nicer, okay? Furnish Finder, which is for like travel, a lot of travel nurses use it, but it's for labor, corporate housing, corporate rentals, right? So those are, I say, maximize the money per bedroom, right? Then the next tier is obviously long-term rentals where you got like a 6-month, year lease, 2-year lease, right? And then, so those are the levels to the short-term rental game, in my opinion. You can make great money. My first year, and I claimed it, $60K. That's what I brought in the first year that I was on a short-term rental platform.
And that was profit.
No.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Which matters. These are great
Okay.
questions.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So the overhead is the mortgage and the utilities, and if you owe any debt, right? That the business is servicing. So if the business is servicing debt, the mortgage and the utility. So no, it didn't profit 69,000, but that's still a nice chunk of change, right? When you get to the bottom line. And it could supplement or replace a salary, right? And I was able to do this from over 600 miles away, right? So you can, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mobile locks, right? Price labs. So they constantly update your prices for you. So you don't have to say, "Oh God, it's a Titans game, it's a hockey game. I need to update my prices." What everybody else doing? How they doing
So
it?
automatically does it for you?
It automatically does. That's the
Dynamic
best
pricing.
$65 a month I spend on my business.
So it looks at like the demand in your area or the demand in the area that your property's in. So if there's a lot of people looking it up, booking in that area, it'll bump your price up. But if it's low demand, it'll drop it down to kind of get you somebody in there. It's pros and cons to it.
There's pros and cons. And
She's
cleaners,
more pro
cleaner,
short term.
I'm not. This is my last thing and I'm done. Two things.
I'm anti.
A cleaner is your rock star. That is your
That's your quarterback. That's your franchise player.
That's it. They make or break your business.
Yeah, because I mean,
Make or
person that
break it.
travels a lot like me, we obviously people, depending on where you go, some people book more Airbnbs and hotels. And the first thing you do if you walk into an Airbnb, you look to see how clean
How
it is.
look and how it smells.
That's the first, obviously the outside, who the neighbors might be, the area. But as soon as you walk in there, how it smells, how it looks, that's the first thing you look for. So I could see that. Yeah.
So like we said, the cleaner's your rock star. And then finally, I personally don't think Airbnb is a permanent solution. You absolutely need an exit strategy from short-term rentals. Market shift, policy shifts. Can I say that again? Policy shifts. They have a bad reputation. And so you have neighbors rallying against them, advocating for less. They are changing local zoning codes to specifically exclude your ability to operate a short-term rental if you don't live in it as your primary residence.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like it. So
they don't.
Short-term rentals cause a housing crisis because people was buying multiple condos and apartments, and or businesses that like apartment complex was like, well, I can make more money by short-term rental these units versus putting you in there. So now you displaced. You don't qualify for a home, and you can't go whatever. So it was that. Then you have neighbors. They don't want to live next to them. Most people who live next door to Airbnbs complain about the noise and the traffic and just whatever. Nobody care about your stuff like you do. And then also, the number one person who got hit by the short-term rental game was hotels. They got the deepest pockets. They the loudest about it, and they want them out.
The biggest lobbying pockets.
Hotels.
They got big pockets.
So you got your affordable housing population don't care for them. You got
a lot of people going against
citizens don't care for them.
Right.
And you got a big corporate entity like that don't care for it. So like she said, I don't think it's, to me, the short-term rental is like the gold rush. Like, it
was a thing to do at the time.
Yeah, like it's going.
Everybody had it. Everybody had advice for you.
Yeah.
So as you get in a conversation about property, they in the sauna, gym. Everybody gonna tell you they got one or two, and this is how you can get you some. It seems like it's like stocks and
they don't tell you all the details.
Yeah, just be mindful of master classes.
Now, with that being said, when it comes to profiting from real estate property, does location play a big part?
Oh, great question. So this goes back to the predictions of Nashville that I didn't get to. I don't care where you buy in Davidson County, buy it. The first house I purchased literally is an eye shot from the projects on the same street as the projects. And I just told you that it doubled in 2 years or less. So and that's what I told myself. When people told me I was dumb, hey, You bought a house on that street? You crazy.
Because what they knew from the past.
Oh, okay. I'm crazy. All right. 2 years later, 3 years later, here we are. So predictions is, I don't care where you are in Nashville, buy. It's only going to go up. I think single family homes are going to be a luxury, and we're going to start living like a metropolitan city on top of each other, right? You're seeing the multi-use. I say also pay attention to the new leadership of HUD and what they do with their property. HUD is nothing but a glorified property management company for government housing.
So their next steps are usually the steps that are.
So imagine if your property manager changes for your apartment complex, culture changes, rules changes, pricing changes, right? Use changes. So we need to pay attention what they're gonna do with these housing projects, what they're gonna do with the Cellar Court. How did Cellar Court get sold? What was Cellar Court? What was it called after Cellar
Now
Court?
you talking about River Chase?
Cellar Court, then it went to River Chase. Now it's being flattened, and we'll see who bought that. I'm interested to know. So I think we need to pay attention to HUD and that new leadership, that culture, and what they're going to say with how we should repurpose government housing. So I go back to my mixed use, sitting on top of each other. We got businesses at the bottom. We got residential at the top. That's going to be the standard. So having your white picket fence in your backyard in Davidson County, it's going to be a luxury.
Yeah, because everybody going to be looking to get away from that, living on top of each other.
You're not going to be able to. Right. Go to New York and try to have a backyard.
And I guess it's so sad. It's not even expected. Like you go up there, you're not expecting to see anybody with cutting grass in New York. You're not expecting to see that.
Chicago gives electric grass boards.
The yard of Chicago about the size of this room.
Plug it in.
Yeah, that's great. Now you say that because that's all that's popping up. So that actually kind of leads into my next question. So with being a real estate investor, what's your opinion on obtaining multifamily properties? It's kind of tying what you just said.
I'm pro multifamily.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pro.
This is from anywhere from duplexes to kind of
2 units on up, because you maximize your profits, and because each door, because that's like the lingo in the real estate thing is doors, right? So a lot of times people say I own 20 doors, they might literally own like 5 properties. But they might have like a triplex, a quad, or whatever. Right. So on.
Got 2 or 3 people living in the same house.
Each door brings in money. So to them, it's about a door. It's like each unit is an income itself. So, and that's the thing, because, for example, this is so crazy. When I bought my primary residence, I came across a house in a duplex next to the National Auto Diesel College. Now I went there, so I understand like they don't have enough dorm room space for their student
people to bring it in.
So they rent out houses in the area, and they also rent out apartment complexes to put the people in there who pay for housing. So it was a duplex. It was a 4-2 on each side. So 4-2 is 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, for the same exact price of my 1 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house that I end up buying. And those appreciate way more because that's a business.
That's actual college investing in.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying just your duplex. So once you use, that's a business.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So like, even that would be my advice to anybody, just whether you want to get into real estate investing or just buying a primary resident, get at the bare minimum a duplex, because single family homes, a duplex qualify for single family home. So you can get an investment property and a primary residence in one with an FHA loan with a 3.5% interest down payment, which is unheard of for investment properties. Most investment properties require 20% down. So you can get an investment property at a discount. Like it's just make money, you know what I'm saying? And then honestly, what's most people's number one expense? Living expense, right? So if you get a duplex, you live on one side, you only paying one mortgage though, right? So that mortgage, for example, might be $1,200 for that $220,000 home, but that one side is being rented out for $1,500.
You doubling your profit easily.
And we use those future rents to help you even qualify for the place.
Yeah, that qualifies. Yeah, qualifying income. So at the bare minimum, it counts. This kind of jumping around, but debt to income is also a big thing as far as you're buying a house. Like very big. Like you can have perfect credit, but if your debt to income don't meet that ratio, they're not lending to you. You too high risk. you overextended.
Right.
So, but if you have something like that multi-family, that now that debt to income is a 0. At the bare minimum, it's a 0 for the first year. Then after that, it counts as income because the difference of what you owe versus what you can.
That's income, not 0. It's just you can wash out
Well,
the mortgage payment.
Yeah, it don't add to your debt to income.
What goes into the process of buying and holding property, and how do you determine how long you should hold before selling?
I mean, that's a great question. So I hate to sound cliche, but you definitely got to go into it with an end in mind. And so just laying it out there. For instance, for me to ever sell my portfolio, however small it is, it would be to get a multifamily, would be to get a commercial property, right? That's my end goal. And so when we say buying and holding, that hold, you need to put in parentheses, what am I holding for?
Right.
All right. That's the long and short of how I can explain it. And so that's why I say it is, you really are the biggest determinant, or the outcome is the biggest determinant. And so obviously you want to pay attention to the equity, right? Obviously you don't want to ever go upside down in a house, right? You don't want to borrow or over leverage whatever equity is in the house, to where when it's time for you to do that strategy and that parentheses of your hold, it actually, you can cash in on it. But if you've over leveraged it and, took out money against this one property, then it
works out.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that would be my quick and dirty answer to how you're buying whole.
Well, if I can answer the question, I would have to ask a question: what is your why?
Right. What's your long term?
Well, why do you
doing
it in real estate? Is it for money or for wealth? Those are two separate things.
That's a good question. Man.
Now, if it's for money, flips. But flips is like it's like the stock market, right? So it doesn't continue. Like, you got to be in it. You got to keep on doing it. So
you got people that hold stocks and let it build over time.
Right.
You got people try to get
the flip is now money. So you can get $20,000-$30,000 in 6 weeks, depending on how long it take you to flip it and sell it. But the only problem with that is that once that money's made, it's made. That's it. Like, you live flip to flip, versus a hold it's more like a trickle. Like, get a little bit over however long you want to hold it. So I'm saying, what's your why?
Mm-hmm.
If you JG Wentworth, you want your money, you want it now.
I want it now.
Flip. You know what I'm saying? You got to flip. Like,
you got to flip.
But you know what I'm saying? If you playing the long game, which is what my recommendation would be, is I would say hybrid.
Absolutely hybrid.
Flips to get you the money
fundraising
for the holds.
Exactly. For the long term holds, that's your real big picture why. That's what you flipping for. That's what you fundraising for, to put into your big picture why, in my opinion. At least that's how I'm approaching it.
Respectable.
And people who trying to get investment property just got to be aware that you're going to have to put 20% down. So if you're not living in a house, then it's going to be 20% down. Now, there are products, let's say if you want to scale out your buy and hold business, there are loans called DSCR loan, which is debt service coverage ratio loans. But basically, if you got a primary house, all you got to do is put down 20%, and then they're going to give you a loan based off of the future income of the property. And so those are wonderful products for people who, if you want to pool money together and just kind of continue this buy and hold and just acquire properties quickly and easily, look into a DSCR loan.
Speaking of loans, is there a certain group of people or business to get loans from? And what are some advice or tricks people should either look out for or use when you're trying to get a loan? So say if you're in conversation with somebody and you're trying to negotiate, what tricks should people look out for that people might throw them in a circle, kind of throw them off, other than saying no, you don't apply for it or whatnot.
Gotcha. So it all depends on what kind of loan you're getting. So some people like what's called hard money loans.
Yeah.
All right. So hard money loans are hard money, meaning it's going to be a higher interest rate. They're going to be able to give you the money quicker, and but this is a short-term loan solution.
Can you say that one more time?
A short-term loan solution.
All right.
With the hard money.
Hard money loan.
Hard money.
So let's say, for instance, like in the example that Marvin just gave, hey, I want to, you want to, if you JG Rentworth want the money down, you flipping, right? So they're going to give you a certain amount of money based off the after repair value of the house, and you got that money to go ahead and flip and make a profit off of quickly. Okay. Now there are a ton of hard money lenders that are available. I would, with anything, you can always ask around, hey, who did you work with, who you work with, boom, so you can have a good experience, because not all loan companies are created equal.
No,
What they
not.
ask for, you can even ask somebody, hey, what are some of your requirements for a loan, or what do I need for a loan? Because some people ask for certain things, some companies don't ask for certain things. So that's something to look for when you're talking to a lender. Hey, what are the requirements? What documentation do you need from me? And if you don't want them looking at these documentations, or if you think it's crazy, I know Marvin always buck up against the system. Why you asking for that? So when you get they are, listen, when you buying a house, you buying two things. You buying a property and you buying money. And when you buying money, they just not going to give it to anybody. They're going to be selective in who they sell their money to, right? So you got to know their rules, play the game. Now, but really, a lot of it's cut and dry though. It's numbers. Either you can, your debt to income ratio is a huge thing. So how much all your money that you have in is income, pre-tax income, your gross pay, and that's going to be divided. Then they're going to look at your monthly debts. So that's just cut and dry number. And they want you to be able to have that ratio in that 45%, 43% range. All right. So that's something you want to look for. And that's just cut and dry numbers. And it's really not a lot of lenders are in the money are in the business of lending money. So they're not going to really give you a lot of runaround, because they want to sell that money, because they're not making money off the property, as Marvin said. They making money off the flip of the loan. Right. So they want to give you money. It's just, do you qualify for it? You know what I'm saying?
What are the right steps in obtaining property at this point? Like this year, it's a new year, and we're getting right to 2024. So if somebody has taking the right necessary steps a couple months ago, will be the last final steps with some of the right steps.
For what's the reason, like primary
investor.
If you're just trying to get a property and figure it out later.
Well, call me. Call Mon-Cheri.
Let's draw a line. Let's draw a line.
You get what I'm saying? Though, like somebody's like ready. Like I
say,
got
what your
money.
why is. It's always the lender. Okay. I mean, because unless you got cash, the lender is gonna make or break the deal.
And I'll say that too. Start with the money.
Yeah.
If you don't have,
that's what it's all about. Like
right.
that's what make the world go round. Like
start with the lender. That's my lender perspective. Start with the lender and go ahead and get pre-approved. Lender's going to ask for a few documents, just last 2 years tax returns, month of bank statements. No, 2 months of bank statements, a month of pay stubs, your ID. That's enough information for them to look at. Do you qualify for a house? All right. With that, you're going to get pre-approved. They're going to tell you, hey, you qualify for a house, and this is how much house you qualify for. Then you partner with the lender, with the realtor, such as Mon-Cheri, and you go out and shop for the house. After you guys shop for the house, you go on the contract. After you go on the contract, your realtor will send that contract back to the lender, and we start the process, the underwriting process. And so from that point, it'll take maybe like 30 days to close on the house. So it's really simple in terms of what's required to get a house. It just seemed like it's invasive. So if you're ready, give us a call and we'll get you taken care of.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask that because sometimes I think people look at it, even though it's a lot that goes into it, I think people look at like buying property, if you own one already, or buying extra property, buying property, all is like a big thing. It's kind of like only certain people can do.
Absolutely.
And so they don't even have in their mind, look, this is something that could easily, everybody's looking to retire early, especially our age demographic and our age group. People don't want to work till they 60, 70 years old. Right?
Not even looking.
Right, so you 50. I ain't even get that far.
I have to work.
I'm 37. I don't want to work till 38.
You know what I'm saying? Yes. And not everybody has the means or a job that's going to have them, hey, man, you work for us, you retire at 55, you good, or not everybody's been to the military and get to leave. So people are looking like, man, I don't want to be that person that's working. It has to work at that age of 50. I want it to be a choice, if anything. And so I think property is now kind of eye-opening to people. People made money all different type of ways now. You know, people got separate businesses. Some people work a job and own a business. So people got a lot of money coming in. And if you don't know what to do with it, some people may save it. Some people may spend it. So it's like, you know, I'm good with having this conversation because it's showing that real estate is not like typically like a quote unquote way out. Like, hey man, this is it. But it's another opportunity.
I would say it's the lowest risk investment. Because let's be honest, investment is just a $100 word. It's gambling. Like you putting down something, hope you get
because nothing's guaranteed,
right?
Life.
So it's a risk involved. But I would say real estate is the least risk investment.
Okay.
And also, you don't have to buy a house or technically own property to invest in real estate. They have REITs, which is like investment groups, and the way the REIT work is they get tax cuts by giving out a large percentage.
What's the acronym? What's the acronym for REIT?
Like
real estate investment trust.
That's
so
exactly
you
what
can invest in that group.
Yes,
and get something in return.
The way it works is I go to the government and be like, because so with property, especially in the flips and stuff, they got capital gains tax. So if you own a home for less than a year, you get taxed at the highest rate. I think it's like 22%. So that's something you got to factor in too. When you want to do these flips, you got to put a cross because you know you always got to pay that toll. And Uncle Sam,
he ain't playing.
He don't want to hear nothing.
I don't want to hear nothing. I don't fight with
He ain't accepting nothing.
I don't fight with
Yeah, you gonna always have to pay that toll. So with the REIT, the way it works is they go and say, well, we invest in, like, for example, I might own a REIT. Everybody in this room invest in a property, and I just give dividends. So the best way is like a stock.
It is a stock.
With real estate. But in order for them to get the tax break, they have to give like a large portion of the profits which to the investor.
So look, long
I've
short.
never heard that before.
No, it's excellent. I'm sitting, and I think that's great because I don't want everybody to think it's a 20% down, 5%, 3.5% down for you to get in a game. He's telling you can get in for $20. A REIT is nothing but a real estate investment trust that you can go on to Rob. No, I'm not gonna see no free promo. You can go on to a stock market exchange platform and say, for instance, Kendall's Burgers does not own any real estate, but Quincy's Real Estate Investment Trust owns all of your burger joints real estate. Does that make sense? So I can invest into the real estate trust that owns all your burger joints real estate. For if the stock is $20 stock, I can pay $20, and I'm making money off of all. Think of your most favorite fast food restaurants. 90% of them do not own any of their real estate. A real estate investment trust owns all their real estate, and you can invest it in to make money.
So you investing in them and making money without having to go in there and own the actual.
Exactly. It's low-hanging fruit to get in the game.
And it's ironic you chose McDonald's because McDonald's actually, their market is real estate.
Yes.
It's not burgers. It's
because you
but
always
it's
hear
2 different companies.
Yeah, you always hear like certain people. Like I remember like just talking to my parents. They made such and such. I knew a guy. Him and his brother owned McDonald's over there. And you as a kid, you think McDonald's is its own entity, which it is, but you're not knowing people can buy
franchises.
Certain
layers
franchises.
to businesses.
I've never heard it like that before. So.
Yeah, that's why I was like, man, that's the beautiful thing about the real estate game.
Yeah.
Is it's a million ways. Like I said earlier, there's a million ways to get paid in it. It's just about what you know. But unfortunately, kind of touching back on the housing, is it a good or a bad thing? Predators follow the money. So even in Nashville, you got
sharks are lurking.
Yeah, so you got people taking advantage of you. People who say they whatever, and then that combined with like this social media lifestyle where everybody's rich, everybody
owns something.
Yeah, everybody, you know what I'm saying, on top of the game. But so you got a lot of people who gonna take advantage of you, especially if you don't know. So that's why it's like the first step is knowledge. Like because. You don't even know what you don't know. Because I learned so much stuff that I didn't even have a clue about just by trial and error. Luckily, had some cushion to kind of bounce back from the mistakes, but
tuition.
Yeah,
a little extra tuition.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I definitely paid for Ivy League education.
We
as much as I done spent, I should have a doctorate in this.
And do.
I should have a hood.
I think also another layer for people who are maybe getting into their second home or third home, or And people who are not trying to make this their full-time side hustle, or, I think another low-hanging fruit is, 1031 exchange? It's a step, right? So a 1031 exchange is say, hey, I could take this little small house and I can exchange it for a little bit bigger one. Like in kind, right? Like in kind.
Well, no. So
tax part.
Yeah. So remember I told you capital gain. So if you sell a house within the 12 months of you owning it, you get the capital gains at the highest level. So the way you circumvent that is, the way you circumvent that is the 1031 exchange. So what they do is, but you have to do that before closing. That's the big caveat that a lot of people don't tell you.
Say that one more time.
You have to establish it before closing. But what that means is, so we'll talk particular. So you buy a house for $100,000, you sell it 2 months from now for $200,000. So you get taxed on that $100,000 profit. All right. Now, what you can do is say, hey, I want to do a 1031 exchange, and you have I think it's 180 days to take that $100,000 and put it into another real estate
escrow or something like that.
And if you do it within that time, you don't pay, because now you don't have, basically you didn't make a profit, right? So you don't pay the tax on. Now that $100,000, that don't mean that you have to buy $100,000 property. You can take the $100,000 property and buy $20,000 properties, do $50,000. You can do it however you see fit. But whatever you don't spend, you're gonna pay 22% on. So you want to do the 1031 exchange for that $100,000 property, but you only found a $70,000 property. Now you paying the 22% on the $30,000, technically. But then we get into other stuff like Section 179 in the tax code, where you got to pay taxes regardless, right? So if you made $100,000 and you got a $30,000 tax bill, you can either pay Uncle Sam that $30,000 tax bill and you get a good job receipt and that's it, or you can buy certain items for your business. And so that's the whole, I don't know if you heard about like the private jets, why being his own private jet, that's a tax write-off. So
you always hear that with certain
so that's the Section 179, right? So that means, for example, we'll say Donald Trump got a $50 million tax bill. He know this, right? He know coming April of next year, he got to pay $50,000 on the money he made this year, right? He got a choice. I can give Uncle Sam this $50,000, or I can buy, Trump Air for $50,000.
Which one you gonna pick?
All right. Investing back in yourself.
So I don't know if you ever been to L.A. If you have been to L.A., you'll notice everybody and their mama got G-Wagons. You notice everybody who got money at least got a G-Wagon?
Yeah.
Because there's certain vehicles you can buy if they weigh a certain amount, and the most popular one is a G-Wagon. So like a Ford F-150, I think an Audi Q8, a Q7, the Sprinter van, the Ram 1500. So they a gross weight of like 6,000 or more. You can buy that. And this is so beautiful about it, right? So we go back to the $30,000 tax bill. So in your head, you have to pay $30,000 for this car to not pay the taxes, right? No. You can put down a $5,000 down payment and say you bought a $30,000 vehicle and you good.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's the rich man's wealth.
Yeah, I'm
it's the rich man's wealth.
I mean, because this is stuff you don't really hear about. Of course, you don't hear about growing up unless you got somebody that's in the business.
And that's a good MLK education,
right?
Let's go. You slid that one in there real quick.
A broke plot right twice.
Right, I got you. With that being said, and with everything, I appreciate you guys coming out for one. Is there anything else you guys want to put out there to the people, advice or knowledge or anything?
I just say take the jump.
Okay.
Whether you're going to do buying your first house, or you want to go the investment route, or do your first flip and fix and flip, just take the jump. Trust in yourself. There are people around you that will not necessarily keep you from falling, but at least help lighten the blow, because you got to pay your own tuition.
You have to pay tuition.
You got to pay tuition. And so there are people who care about our community, care about your goals, and can align with you to help you achieve. So just take the leap, take the jump, and do it.
Yeah. How can people get in contact with you if they want to do business with you, or pay for advice or whatnot, or like to hear more?
She the people person.
Okay. All right.
So a couple ways. So like I said, I'm a realtor. You can get in contact with me, Mon-Cheri. Sorry. Listen, never did this part before. So you can get in contact with the Instagram, right? Amore Homes, AMOR Kendall_Homes615. So you can DM me. You can always contact me through that measure. We also email us. So if you ever want to JV, joint venture, if you're looking to buy
or sell,
specifically sell your home, your building, your business, give us a call. We would definitely love to look at what you have and get it off your hands.
Yeah,
so even if I don't buy it, I'll definitely can sell it to somebody and make sure you get exactly what you want for it.
Oh, let me do the plug. We buy homes as is.
You're right.
We close it as is, no repairs. We want it. We want to sell it. We want to buy it.
Right.
We want to sell it. We want it.
Empty lots. Empty
Whatever.
lots.
That's
We
a
do
t-shirt
not
right
care.
there.
Yeah.
And you can find me on Instagram or TikTok at baldbeardedlender, or email me at TikTok. I mean Instagram, or it's fine.
Yeah,
baldbeardedlender.
Yeah, I wanted to get that out there because, like you said, you never know. Everybody's in different spaces in their life. So you got people that's wanting to buy, you got people that own, and you got people that's getting in different ventures. So, like you said, properties they may want to get rid of. They ain't got the time to go through the whole process. Wait, 6 months. We know how long houses can stay on the market.
Absolutely.
And especially, it kind of cuts corners too, because if you're dealing with people, at least you trust, or somebody that knows them, you can trust them a little bit more. So you're quicker to do business with them. So I want to make sure y'all got that out there.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Two more things I want to put out there. It's on my spirit. First thing, people, please have a will. Please have, I don't care if it's on a napkin. I don't care if you videotape yourself and email it to your loved ones or your attorney and say, this is what I want to happen with my property, right? Or anything that you own. The court gonna decide for you. It could be understood. You could be married and it's understood. It still has to go through the probate court, right? Have a piece of paper so that it's clear. Can't stress that enough, especially as relates to real estate. And then for those people who, like my brother, is not a people person, or you just want to go be on vacation and be in retirement, I can also be your property manager, but it's worth it. Like, hire a property manager, a good one, and not just this corporatized one, a small craft local one, to manage your portfolio or your one property, doesn't matter how many, is definitely worth alleviating not being called, except for where you want this check deposited to. That's the only question that you should be asked if you have a good property manager.
Yeah, we only scratch the surface. There's so much we can talk about. Anybody I talk to for more than 5 minutes, I'm gonna discuss this real estate stuff too. So I will say, even though I keep saying I'm not a people's person, if you got a question about it, I'll talk to you forever.
Absolutely.
Because going back to what you said, the advice, I would say it is attainable, bro. Because anybody know me, I said for years, I'd never be able to buy a house because I'm not paying back student loans.
100%.
And I was able to buy a house, and now I got 3. So it's obtainable. You just don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So
and knowledge is everything.
Yeah. So I tell you, I'm not selling you information. I'm giving it to you. Like, you do what you want to with it, because I've literally done told 1 million people this stuff, and some people just know, like, oh, it's good to know. Some people has tried it, but yeah, it's obtainable. Like, you don't have to come from a lot of money. You don't even have to have a lot of money. I definitely don't.
No, I still don't. Still striving.
That's relative. I'm just playing.
So yeah, I'll say that too. DM me with any question. I don't even DB me about being a realtor, right? Just DM me about any question. That is truly, me and my brother talk about this all the time. We do not want people to have to kiss frogs like we kiss frogs. We want your tuition to get in-state tuition.
Yeah,
okay,
they print money every day. It's enough to go around.
Yeah,
I'm not gatekeeping this stuff. I want to see us all get it.
I will never charge you. No master classes.
Yeah, don't buy information.
No. I mean, and if you do, that's truly to cut the line.
No, but man, it's important to have people
that
look like you from where you're from, or you just comfortable with. If you're able to just get information on what you're trying to do.
And another advice specifically to the real estate investment people that's interested in that: be careful, because a lot of these people are these experts. They're experts in the theory. They're not actually doing it.
Yes.
90% of these people on here that's saying like, hey, I can do this and do it. They're not actually doing it. They're doing similar to this situation. Like, hey man, like talking behind closed doors. Well, how did you do it? Blah, blah, blah. They gather the information. And then because they good at speaking and got a good delivery and you know, if you sound smart, people think you're smart. But
oh no, I'm gonna give
it's plenty of brilliant idiots out here.
Oh no, I'm about to give you a prime example. Okay. So before Airbnb, no, simultaneously with Airbnb from 6 hours away, I jumped off the porch with Turo, right? So I had a car on Turo doing that. I got a phone call from a name I won't mention and was like, hey, sis, how you do the Turo stuff? And I was like, oh, no problem. This how you do it. You know, I'll shoot you like the application information so you know exactly what questions. You know, this is my thoughts. This is how you should approach it. Bro, not even 30 days later, she dropped a masterclass on how to do Turo.
That's
Never did it. Just called me.
You just got the basic details of it.
Yes.
Turn it to getting paid.
$75 general admission, $200 VIP, a ticket for the theory. For less than a 30-minute conversation with me, and you jumping off the porch teaching a masterclass.
It's ways to find out today.
I can't make this up if I wanted to.
People will talk without saying stuff.
Exactly.
They'll be like, you just, they kind of give you the broad stroke, and then you get to getting into particulars. And they're like, well, I got another class for that. Like, sure you do. I'm sure you do. Like,
another ebook for that. Yeah. And I'm not mad at the ebooks. I'm not mad at the masterclass.
From the educated perspective, look, folk need the information.
They do need the information, but you need receipts too. And it goes back to the contractors. Like, go look at their work. Go look at their framing. Go look at their paint jobs. Like, lay eyes on it. Like, I'm looking at this mic.
Yeah.
Don't call.
All right.
Don't go on the internet and look up the address and look up the latest Zillow pictures from, from the most recent set. No, go look at it. Actually talk to the person who paid that man or that woman for the work.
You can't take the elevator success.
No, you cannot. You're going to kiss frogs and you're going to pay that tuition. The tuition goes up.
It's expensive. I'm telling you, it's expensive.
Like I said, I appreciate y'all coming on here. Y'all ain't have to do this. So I appreciate y'all coming here. Y'all gave good game, and I'm sure a lot of people who thought this was out of their realm or league probably thinking about it differently. Like I said, a lot of people not trying to work till they old, and and it's just something to do, especially people with kids.
Yeah.
Just getting married. You got 2 incomes in the house. You can do a lot of stuff with that. So it gives a lot of people like us opportunities. So I appreciate y'all giving game. Hopefully people take notice and they're offering to help, and just reach out.
Yes, reach out.
I tell you what I know. Only what I know, though. I'm not going to tell you what I heard.
Exactly.
And then if you guys don't know, I'm sure y'all know somebody that knows something about it.
100%.
So appreciate y'all stopping by.
My pleasure.
And you guys check this episode when it comes out, live with KB Podcast, talking real estate, housing, and property, something we all need and we'll sure be living in, because they ain't making no more property at all. So that's what you got. Thanks for checking us out. Have a blessed one.
Yeah.
All right.